Welcome to Arts of the Round Table. My name is Mello. I'm a mixed media artist exploring the incredible world of gouache painting. In today's video, I'll be showing you how I inked and painted this powerful image of Jean Grey as Phoenix, breaking down steps, discussing techniques, so pull up a seat at the table, grab your brushes, and let's create something amazing. What is going on, everyone? I hope you're having a fantastic day. Considering you're about to spend a few minutes of your valuable time with me, it is greatly appreciated. So let's jump right in here. Today's video is kind of like the special features on a Blu-ray. Last month I revisited some of my old paintings of the X-Men, and I reimagined and I repainted them. I had a ton of fun and learned a lot about my current processes. If you haven't checked those videos out yet, that's okay. Maybe this one will guide you over there. Anyway, I was so in the moment that I was compelled to do one more painting, and that was the birth of this Jean Grey, the Phoenix. And as you can see, using my trusty Pentel brushes filled with India ink, I get to the inking. For the longest time, inking felt terrifying. One wrong move, and the whole drawing could be ruined. That finality, that pressure, always kept me from fully enjoying the process. I have tons of stuff that I haven't inked and probably never will. But over time, I started to see it a bit differently. Now, it's a bridge that guides my pencils to my paints. In my personal work, like this, I've been leaning into it a bit more. And I've been studying a lot of black and white art and artists and trying to pick apart and decipher their techniques and then put it into practice. For instance, I use feathering techniques like I would as if sketching with a pencil to build up texture and form, like on her body, her musculature, and her costume. Then probably the most satisfying aspect of using a brush pen, for me, is creating beautiful bold curves by the simple application of pressure and release, allowing me to create volume and flow in the hair like I did here in this picture. I can get a bit out of hand and lose myself. The challenging part for me lately is knowing when to stop. It's easy to overdo details with ink. Adding too many lines, too many crosshatches, or excessive shading can make the drawing feel cluttered rather than expressive. And knowing when to stop is an art in itself. Here's a hint. Stop early. Now we are on to the paints. I'm using my Himi gouache set until the wells run dry. The first thing I did was a quick wash over the whole figure and an attempt at a fire-ish gradient wash behind her. I was not feeling that background at all early on, y'all, so I focused on her outfit first. Using a simple palette and using a bit more water than I normally do, I started to layer in my paints. And my goal early on and throughout this whole process really was to try to maintain the sharpness of the India ink outlines, which is why I went with a more watery consistency to my gouache paints. That allowed me to slowly and confidently begin to add variety to my colors. Slowly, in case something didn't work out the way I wanted to, I could just go back to the original color. But honestly, it was just to try to add as much texture and variety with the simple palette that I had and was using. When it came down to doing the hair, I really wanted to focus on doing it correctly, so to speak. I didn't give myself an opportunity to feel right about how I did in my previous paintings. So I wanted to take a little bit more time here. I thought I was going to go a bit more washy watercolor style, and I kind of nixed that idea really early because I didn't want it to blend in too much with the background. I needed them to be separate. So I started to use a thicker, less water on the pigments, but just enough so that I can continue to layer on top and blend my shades of brown, reds, and oranges. Here I'm beginning to use the black gouache very thickly and by itself so that I can begin to blend the colors together. I'm using a lot of dark greens to try to get a good transition between the shadows and the highlights of her outfit. I spent a lot of time, it may not seem so because of how speed art looks, but I spent a lot of time on the face, but I wanted to do it gradually. So all I kept doing was I maintained a simple color of flesh tone, pink, white, and some reds, and just slowly, just every once in a while I'll go back up there and highlight parts of the face, the cheek, the chin, the bridge of the nose, and the forehead. Let it dry, move around the painting, and then go back and do it again. And that allowed some really cool transitions and building of form and structure. I did that throughout her whole figure. I was having a hard time trying to figure out what would have been a really good shadowy tone. Purple always looks good with flesh tone, so I ended up using a little bit of purple with that same pink flesh tone and used that to develop the face and the flesh tones. Using yellow, orange, golden yellow, whatever those colors are in my Himi palette, I began to find fire in the stains of the wash on the background. And that was the only way and the only time that I actually began to feel comfortable back there, because it stopped being such a muddy mess. And it allowed me to bridge the two elements of her hair and the fire. And I used some white. It's actually a really light cream color for the highlight of her hair and her body, to separate her from that fiery emotion in the background. Now that all the elements are in place and all I'm doing is adding details or enhancing certain colors, I'm going to let the video play out. I'll see you in a few. And that's a wrap on today's video, guys. From inking to gouache, Jean Grey's transformation into the Phoenix. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments. If you have a favorite moment, a technique you want to see more of, drop your thoughts below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and come back to Art to the Round Table. There's a seat here always waiting for you. Until next time, my name is Mello. And as always, I'll draw you later. Bye-bye.